Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week three. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 3 and 4 of. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January wrap up of running 1,000 miles in 1 year. Tonight we will be talking about topics such as week 3, running in week 4. We'll also be talking about running in week 5. And also tonight we'll have a special presentation from my correspondent about the plan for the year and how that plan was made. So let's go ahead and kick off tonight's news with week 3. So in week 3, I started my running off with a 3-mile run outside on Monday. And then on Thursday, I ran 3.5 miles on the treadmill. And then on Saturday, I finished up with a 3.5 mile run with my friend Brandon down in Louisville, Kentucky. Today we're running in Louisville, Kentucky with my friend Brandon. How you doing, Brandon?
Worse than you, Justin. Not bad.
It's kind of ugly, gross, and rainy. In the rain, mind you. So that brought week 3 to a total of 10 miles. Go ahead and break away to that special presentation now, where you'll hear about the plan for the year. Alright, so let's talk about the plan and how I figured out how I was going to run 1,000 miles in 1 year. So first let's start with some of the numbers. So if we want to run 1,000 miles in 366 days, that comes out to about 2.75 miles per day on average. And now let's look at it at a per month basis. That's going to come out to telling me I need to run 83.3 miles per month. And then we can break that down to weeks. If we take 1,000 miles divided by the number of weeks in a year, then that will give us 19.126 miles per week on average. So we're just going to use some of those numbers as we plan out the rest of the year. So here I'm just listing the months throughout the year, and I'm going to use that miles per day number I had from before to figure out exactly how many miles per month I need to be running based off of the number of days from each month. So I'm not in very good shape at the beginning of the year, so I won't be able to start running 85 miles at the very beginning of the year. I know just from where I believe I'm at, I can run 9 miles per week to start the year off. But if we look at our stats, we know we need to get to about 19 1/8 miles. So how am I going to get from 9 miles a week to over 19 miles per week? So let's go ahead and zoom in on January and take a look at that. So here we're going to just look at every week in January. We have 4 weeks we're going to start with. On the right there, you'll see that is a column of the total number of miles per week. Like I already said, I'm going to start with 9 miles in the first week. That's going to be 3 days of running 3 miles. Then I'm going to use the 10% rule for the weekly total mileage. So that tells me in week 2 I can increase by 10%, which brings me to 10 total miles, then 11 and 12 in weeks 3 and 4. This is how I plan on spreading out the runs throughout the week. I am adding another day of running in week 3, so that'll be 4 days of running instead of 3. Then there are 3 more days in the month, so that's kind of what we're going to call our 5th week here. And that's just going to be a 2 and a 3 mile run with a day off. That actually ends up being the first week in this video series. That brings us to a total of 47 miles in the month of January, which we can tell is well behind our goal on our sheet of 85 miles. So I will have to make up those miles later in the year, but let's go ahead and keep looking at the next month of February and seeing exactly how those weeks are going to play out. So again, on the right, there's the total number of miles per week in that column. We know that in January we left off with 12 miles, so in the first week of February we're going to start off with 13, then 14, 15 and a half, and then 17 miles for the weeks in February. That brings us to 59 and a half miles total in February. So we're going to do some quick bookkeeping, and we know that in January we're behind 38 miles, and in February now that's another 19 and a half miles. We are off the pace that we had calculated before. So we'll total those up and put them on our sheet at being behind by 57 and a half miles at the end of February. It looks like we are getting close to that 19 miles per week number, so we are almost done getting into shape. So let's go ahead and look at March here. We know we can start the month off with 18 and a half miles, and that very next week we can jump up to 20. Now we're going to take a look back and see how many miles we need to add per week to make up for the lost miles in January and February. So now we know that we are 58 miles behind at this point in the year, and there are 47 weeks remaining. So that comes out to 1.2 miles per week that need to be added on. So we add that 1.2 to the already 19.126, and we round that on up to 20.5 miles per week is what I'm going to have to run for the rest of the year. So now back on the March plan, we're able to run that 20.5 miles in week 3. So week 3 of March is when we're able to finally get up to a constant mileage per week for the rest of the year. All of this work is just confirming that I can start the beginning of the year running 9 miles a week and just slowly working my way up from there. So that's how I made this plan. Thank you, Josh, and welcome back, everybody. In week 4, I went ahead and ran 3 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles, and 3 miles for a total of 11 miles. In week 5, I ran 3 miles, and then another 3-mile run, then a 2-mile run, and then a 4-mile run for a total of 12 miles. So that brought up the total mileage for the month up to 47 miles, which reached my goal. I'm on pace to run 1,000 miles in 1 year. This is breaking news. As you can tell, I've been behind each week in making these videos. I'm going to change the format a little bit, so now the videos will be released once a month, towards the end of the month. So hopefully you're all back in February to watch that wrap-up video. Thanks everybody for watching.